Chapter 521. I helped you and you want to kill me. Gu Jingze wore a white blouse that was very casual but still looked prim and proper on him. Yang Lingxin was originally looking around outside when she heard Lin Che answering a call. She knew that it was definitely not anyone else, so she decided to go closer. Sure enough, she heard Lin Che ask, "Why are you waiting for me upstairs?" It made her guess that Gu Jingze was here. This meant that it would be easier to find Gu Jingze if she wanted to. She found the Gu family's guards and then found Gu Jingze. She told the guards that Lin Che had a message for Gu Jingze. Although the guards didn't like her, they knew that she was downstairs with Lin Che just now. Perhaps Lin Che really had a message to pass to Gu Jingze. Thus, they let her through. Gu Jingze narrowed his eyes and looked at her. Lin Che has something. Yang Lingxin instantly became shy and nervous as she faced Gu Jingze alone. Before this, she had always been hoping for a chance like this. Now that she was really in front of Gu Jingze, she was so nervous. Because she liked him so much. She secretly liked him for so many years and always idolized him. Little did she expect herself to be able to meet her idol one day. Furthermore, he was so nice and meticulous with Lin Che. It was overwhelmingly sweet. She looked up at Gu Jingze. Mr. Gu, She wanted to approach him. Gu Jingze narrowed his eyes and blocked her with one hand. Yang Lingxin looked at Gu Jingze with big guts. This was her chance now. It was such a good chance, she was not going to let it slip. Just behind them was the hotel room and there were only the two of them here. Whether it was her dressing or makeup now, she completely mimicked Lin Che. It must be because of all these things about Lin Che that he liked her so much. He liked everything about her. She asked, "I have something to say to sir. Can I go in?" "What do you want to say? Can't we talk inside?" "You can say it right here." But it has to do with Sister Che, she could only come up with a lie. "What about Lin Che? You can just say it." She lifted her gaze and her eyes glistened as she looked at Gu Jingze. Her hidden intent was already so obvious. She wanted to be with him. Even if she could only be his hidden lover hiding behind Lin Che, she didn't mind it. "Sir, don't you want me? I can do anything. Sister Che is not coming up now, she still needs to entertain the crew. I can serve sir here." As she spoke, she took 2 steps forward again. Gu Jingze looked at her with a cold smile. "Is this your motive for following Lin Che?" "No sir, I've liked you since I was young. I've always worshipped you. Even though I haven't met you at that time, I had already fallen in love with you. Sir, I'm willing to do anything for you. I'm very young, I'm younger than Lin Che and I'm not as soft as her. You can do anything to me, really." Just then. "Little Shin, is this your motive for following me?" The voice behind shook Yang Lingxin. Unknowingly, Lin Che had already appeared behind her. She clearly saw that they were still chatting just now. How did she? Yang Lingxin's expression changed. She looked at Lin Che with a wooden face as she walked towards her. She hastily said, I didn't mean that, Sister Che." She quickly said to Lin Che, "That's not it. It's not because of this, Sister Che, it's my fault. I shouldn't like Gu Jingze, but I used to admire him a lot. You know it too. I only want to like him quietly from behind and I'll do the same in the future, really. I'm muddled up today. I'm drunk and that's why I came here. Sister Che, I'm sorry. Please forgive me." Lin Che smiled coldly as she approached. Watching Yang Lingxin approach Lin Che, Gu Jingze came in between them. Lin Che grabbed Gu Jingze's arm, shook her head, and then looked up at Yang Lingxin. The hurt of betrayal was written all over her face. "Go, little Shin. On account that you were implicated and that terrible thing happened to you because of me, I won't pursue this matter with you. We now owe each other nothing. Go far away and don't come close to me again." "I know, Sister Che, I don't want to. I'm not leaving, I only want to follow you. I know my mistakes. Enough. I don't want to waste my breath on you anymore. Get out of my sight now." Lin Che's voice was suddenly cold. Yang Lingxin was stunned. Then, she saw Gu Jingze's bodyguards walking over from the side. When they took Yang Lingxin away, she was still pleading. Sister Che, I'm really sorry. I'm sorry. Lin Che did not turn back. She stood there and closed her eyes. She felt Gu Jingze's hand slowly touching her. She then raised her head plainly. It's okay, I'm fine, Lin Che smiled. Actually, I already felt that something was off about her. However, I didn't want to think so negatively. That was why I didn't bother about her. What I personally saw today only confirmed my thoughts. Gu Jingze said, I know. People's hearts are always changing, to begin with. Perhaps she didn't have this many thoughts in the beginning. It's just that her mind is shallow, so she took the wrong path. Now, you both are no longer indebted to each other. I'll tell my men to keep her away from you in the future. Lin Che nodded. It was a lie to say that she didn't feel anything in her heart. However, all the sadness and instability were also returned to calmness now. He hugged her in his arms and she leaned against him, quietly grazing against his body. Breathing in his scent, her heart slowly felt more relaxed. After a while, both of them walked out and were about to leave the place. Gu Jingze felt that it was a waste. Because Yang Lingxin ruined the mood, Lin Che said that she didn't want to stay at the hotel anymore. Instead, she wanted to eat spicy crayfish. Seeing as she wasn't in a good mood, Gu Jingze could only oblige, and so they left the hotel together. Where shall we go to eat? Lin Che was thinking when she suddenly heard the sound of a scooter coming from the opposite direction. It was Yang Lingxin. She rode the scooter and dashed forward. She was heading straight for Lin Che. The bodyguard in front did not anticipate this. However, the bodyguard behind immediately jumped in front to stop her. The scooter and the bodyguard fell on the ground. There was a vicious look on Yang Lingxin's face. She also fell to the ground with the scooter and bodyguard. She looked up and glared murderously at Lin Che. These meddling bodyguards. These damned bodyguards. Lin Che looked at Yang Lingxin in disbelief. I was already giving you a way out by letting you go and saying that I didn't want to see you. Now, you actually Yang Lingxin, I saved you and helped you. I've always tried to encourage you and nurture you so that you can leave your old life. Your heart turned out to be so wicked. You betrayed me, defamed me, and now you want to kill me. Chapter 522. At least you shouldn't have any guilt in your heart. Yang Lingxin was a mess when she fell on the ground. Her eyes were filled with hatred as she glared at Lin Che. It was as if she really wanted to kill Lin Che with her stare. She couldn't take it anymore. After she was chased out of the hotel, she tried to go back in but was chased out again. She thought that they wouldn't let her see Lin Che anymore. She wouldn't be able to see Gu Jingze anymore. Of course, she knew that these bodyguards were capable. However, the thought of not seeing Gu Jingze ever again made her heart. Yang Lingxin originally thought that as long as she could get in bed with Gu Jingze today, she would be able to return to the good days. However, she was caught red-handed by Lin Che. She kept making mistakes. She already knew that she could never have Lin Che's forgiveness. However, she really couldn't take it anymore. She might as well perish together with Lin Che. Thus, she rode the scooter and wanted to knock Lin Che dead. Little did she expect that it wouldn't work. If she still had any logic in her, she would have known that it wouldn't work. It was just a scooter. How could it kill Lin Che? However, she had already lost all sense of reasoning. She looked at Lin Che. Helped me, supported me. She scoffed coldly, from that day when you met me at the bridge, you did help me. However, you also ruined me. I was just an ordinary person living in an ordinary house and was surrounded by ordinary people. But you let me see that you had it all so good. You were an ordinary person too. You were the same as me in the beginning. You had nothing, didn't you? She stared at Lin Che as her eyes moved agitatedly. You were clearly worse off than me. You were just a mistress's child. You were an illegitimate child. Your studies were rubbish too. You didn't know anything and you were a completely useless woman. But now, you got everything so easily, and it is all because you only met one person. As for me, I have nothing. You didn't pity me, neither did you want to help me. You just needed a follower. You wanted to show your kindness. Seeing me gives you a sense of superiority. You would feel my envy and jealousy. You would feel that I'll never be as good as you. You only wanted to use me as a comparison. Since when did Lin Che think that way? She really did not. She only wanted to help her. She only thought that it didn't take that much effort. Young Lingxin was very hardworking and had potential. That was why she wanted to support her. Yes, one could easily change one's own destiny. Her destiny was changed because of one person, and she also wanted to change this tragically destined life. She wanted to help just one person, but why did it end up being twisted like this? Lin Che looked speechlessly at Young Lingxin. I've never asked for your thanks and I've never asked for your admiration. I only wanted you to be able to stand up on your own and change your own destiny. I can't change your destiny because it can only be changed by you alone. I did meet Gu Jingze, but I learned everything on my own diligently. I don't pin my hopes that he would be able to protect me for the rest of my life. That is why I work hard. I work my ass off without stopping for 1 second. Lin Che looked at Young Lingxin with amusement. But you only saw my luck. You didn't see my efforts. Lin Che shook her head. Forget it. I don't think that you will see anything at this point now. Since you already think that way, go ahead and think that way. I can't stop you. You are now someone who has betrayed me, and I don't give a damn about what you think. Young Lingxin was unstable. She felt unjustified. She scoffed and knew that she was at a dead end. She gazed at the wide-eyed Young Lingxin. It is wrong to pity someone. It is wrong to help someone. You helped me realize this. However, I'm not grateful to you at all. She waved her hand dismissively and didn't want to bother with Young Lingxin anymore. She left it up to Gu Jingze to deal with her however he wanted. In any case, everything that she owed previously was already as set upstairs. She was no longer indebted and it was now all on Young Lingxin. She came knocking on the door on her own and she asked for it. It was nobody else's fault. Gu Jingze looked at Young Lingxin and gestured for his men to take over. After that, he tugged Lin Che along to the car. After driving for a long distance, Gu Jingze then looked at Lin Che and asked, "Where are we going now?" Lin Che turned to him and took a deep breath. "We're going to eat spicy crayfish." "We're still going?" "Of course. I won't let this kind of person ruin my mood." But his mood was already ruined. "Never mind." He nodded and let the chauffeur drive there. When the line of people walked into a small spicy crayfish stall, the owner was so shocked that his knees went weak. Because Lin Che wasn't in a good mood, she couldn't be bothered to care too much. She casually found a table and sat down. The stall owner trembled as he came to take orders. Lin Che wanted the spiciest and most tongue-numbing crayfish. The stall owner quickly went to prepare the order. The bright red color of the spicy crayfish whet Lin Che's appetite. She took one and began to eat unceremoniously. On the other hand, Gu Jingze took one bite and gave up. Lin Che said, "I really never thought that helping someone would be such a huge mistake. Perhaps she raised herself too high and I didn't notice it. It's not good to raise oneself too high either actually, right?" Gu Jingze looked at Lin Che. The human heart is complicated in the first place. If you help her, there's no guarantee that she would reciprocate. Instead, she might become jealous of your ability to help others. She might also feel that she is of lower status than you and is looking at you from below. However, it is right to help others. Really, is it right? Of course, it's just that when you help someone, don't think about what kind of result you can get. Yeah, Lin Che sighed. Anyway, as long as I'm helping others with a clear conscience, it's okay. I'm not asking for gratitude from whomever I help. If she's unwilling to thank me, so be it. I'll just not help her next time. I have a clear conscience and I can only help this far. It's okay if she doesn't reciprocate. Gu Jingze smiled and patted her head. Who said that Lin Che was completely useless? She was such a witty girl. She was optimistic, forward-looking, kind, and she would never be knocked down by anything. Because of this, that was why she was so lucky. Because luck was a result of a person's hard work. It was also the beginning of a person's hard work. She had good luck because she was firstly ready to accept good luck. Once she was ready, she could grab hold of the good luck when it came. He smiled. Don't you find it spicy? Lin Che really did not feel it before. It was only now that she felt that her lips were already numb. Oh my, I can't do this anymore. Boss, quick give me a glass of sweet beverage. My lips are almost falling off. The boss was already waiting at the side. He carefully approached them and handed Lin Che the drink. He didn't dare to look directly at Gu Jingze. As he put down the drink, he stole a glance and quickly retreated. Chapter 523. Making you happy is worth all this money. Lin Che gulped down the fruit juice and felt a lot better. She looked up at the boss. Your crayfish is too spicy. The boss withdrew fearfully. He felt bitter but did not say it out loud. You were clearly the one who wanted the spiciest, most lip-numbing crayfish. Why is this lady blaming me for making it too spicy? He originally didn't want to put so much seasoning. When he saw so many burly people around, he was afraid that it wouldn't be spicy enough. Thus, he specially added some more. The boss said, I'll get you a new plate. No need, Lin Che said. Just give me some vinegar. The boss quickly went to get it for her. Who knew that this lady would be rather nice? Lin Che took a deep breath and asked, aren't you eating? I'm not eating. Lin Che said, it's really fragrant if you eat it once in a while. It'll be a waste if you don't eat. It's okay, I'll eat after you're done, Gu Jingze said. What would be left for you when I finish all the food? Gu Jingze looked slyly at her lips. I'll just have a taste. Just a little trace will be enough. Lin Che immediately noticed Gu Jingze's gaze and pouted. Get lost, I don't want that. Gu Jingze responded, what's wrong? I said I'll just have a taste of the ingredients in the bowl. Gu Jingze's eyes glimmered. Why, where did you think I was talking about? Gu Jingze said, that's true. We were disturbed today and I couldn't do the things I should have done to you in the hotel. At least we still have time now. Let me. He lowered his head and plainly pecked her lips from across the table. The faint imprint slowly deepened. She tasted his full lips and felt his warmth and heat. Immediately, she felt as if her heart was filled with bliss. She couldn't resist taking the initiative. Together with him, their tongues intertwined over the table. She tasted him slowly. Gu Jingze was like a medicine that could soothe people's hearts. Fooling around with him like this, the thorns in her heart seemed to slowly be plucked off. Lin Che thought that perhaps it was her fault. She never thought that anyone would be so in love with Gu Jingze. And throughout all this time, young Lingxin was all the more always circling around Gu Jingze, watching her live with him. She thought that it was all the more young Lingxin couldn't stand it any longer. That was why she became so crazy. Even for Lin Che herself, when she first got together with Gu Jingze, she also kept thinking that she was able to block off Gu Jingze's charm herself. In the end, she couldn't at all. It was all the harder to resist when she looked at Gu Jingze up close. His perfection barged into her heart a little by little. After eating spicy crayfish, Lin Che's mood was already a lot better. When she left with Gu Jingze, she then saw that there was not a single person besides them in the shop. The stall owner stood there very respectfully and politely. Gu Jingze let his men pay the bill and did not take the change. The crayfish was not bad, he said and looked at Lin Che beside him as if thinking of something. Lin Che glanced at him and shyly turned her head away, pretending not to hear him. Except for her lips, he didn't eat anything just now. The stall owner naturally didn't understand. He only looked at that stack of notes and quickly thanked them in surprise. Thank you, please come again. Watching Gu Jingze take Lin Che away, the stall owner was still counting the money. 10,000 yuan, not a single yuan more or less. It looked like serving all these wealthy people today was not in vain. Lin Che got in the car and said, you gave the stall owner too much money. Gu Jingze said, I believe this crayfish dish was worth that value. In what way? He looked at her red lips. It tasted very nice, although it wasn't quite filling. Get lost. Lin Che didn't want to fool around with him anymore. Gu Jingze laughed and signaled for the chauffeur to drive off. However, he did feel that it was worth it. To be able to let Lin Che walk out from the sadness just now, it was worth spending that money. The next day, Lin Che told Yu Minmin what happened. Yu Minmin didn't say much. Perhaps she was still too young, so she couldn't control herself. Perhaps even petty people had their own sense of pride. They don't wish to be helped. Or perhaps she's not someone who was supposed to get along with us in the first place. Life is just like that. If we click, we can get along. If we can't, we become strangers. It's no big deal. Yeah, Lin Che also sighed and said. Yu Minmin and Lin Che went to Lin Che's home to help pick out her outfit. Unknowingly, Lin Che already had so many clothes that she was so surprised when the maids piled them all up in front of her. Why do I have so many clothes? Lin Che asked speechlessly. The maid said, the housekeeper will always buy some clothes in every season. Take a look first. If you don't like any, you can let the housekeeper pick some more. No need, no need. There are too many clothes. Tell the housekeeper not to buy so much. Madam, you are the thrifty one and have never worn these. Actually, we've never been able to finish spending the household allowance that Sir gives us. We still have a lot of money left. If you're free, you can take it and go shopping. Lin Che replied, it's okay, it's okay. I don't lack anything and you guys already buy everything for me. There's no need for me to shop and I'm too busy to go shopping now. Yu Minmin said, seriously. You're so rich but you're still so thrifty. Lin Che said, I didn't earn this money. Whatever your husband earns is yours too. Fine, but of course, I want to save my money. Can't my heart ache when I spend so much? Okay, okay. Yu Minmin picked up a piece of clothing for her to wear. Let's not pin our hopes on winning the award on our first time there. Thus, let's prepare properly for the red carpet and not embarrass ourselves. Alright, but since when have I embarrassed you? You haven't, but you've also never been too outstanding. Lin Che said speechlessly, that's because I have a manager like you. At least I've appeared in the headlines numerous times, right? Yes, but you can't deny that there was plenty of trouble too. You can't deny that from the break-off to the contract termination, it was really full of twists and turns. However, we always thankfully climbed out of the danger victoriously. Now, you're also considered half of a frontliner. Idiot. If you can get the gold medal award this time, you'll really be a total frontliner. However, I still don't dare to have too much hope on it. After all, the gold medal award doesn't just look at the level of fame, acting skills, and influential power. There are still a lot of other aspects that will affect the results. Let's not have too much hope on it. I know, you don't need to prepare me for the worst. Qualifying for it already made people's jaws drop. How can I hope that I'll get the award so easily this time? Lin Che and Yu Minmin settled on her outfit. After that, Yu Minmin headed straight back to Glazed Tile Palace. Chapter 524. It was not her in the romantic scene at Glazed Tile Palace. Inside Glazed Tile Palace. When Gu Jingming returned, he asked the maid, is Madam not back yet? Not yet, Mr. President. It's going to rain outside. Get people to fetch her. Oh, okay Mr. President. It was actually already raining outside. Just then, Gu Jingming received a call. Yin Suya was with Shu Yi and their car was stranded on the road. Gu Jingming heard this and quickly said, I'll send someone to pick you up now. The rain outside had unknowingly become heavier. Gu Jingming looked out and then looked at the time again. It was already past 9:00 p.m. and Yu Minmin was still not back. After a while, Yin Suya and Shu Yi were finally brought back. Yin Suya didn't come to the presidential palace often. After all, Glazed Tile Palace was Gu Jingming's place. If she always came over and got caught in photos, it wouldn't be good for him. She raised her head and looked around. The place was shockingly huge and luxurious beyond comparison. Shu Yi exclaimed, who would have thought that it would rain so suddenly? Just now at the club gathering, we were still saying that it was such a waste that you couldn't come. However, we also can understand that the big president is busy. He looked around. How come I don't see Madam President? Gu Jingming glanced at Shu Yi and didn't say anything. Shu Yi said, it's raining so heavily. Didn't you ask your people to fetch her? You're not a single bit caring towards her at all. How about I drive out and look for her? It's not such a good thing for a girl to be outside on her own. Yin Suya looked at Shu Yi from the side. The playboy is at it again. You've only met her a few times and you're already starting to show concern for her. Can you not try to walk without moving whenever you meet a woman? Gu Jingming's hand subtly stopped. Shu Yi said, I'm not being lustful or anything. I really care about Minmin. She's a girl, and although she always puts on a strong front, she is ultimately still a girl too. Furthermore, I really am starting to feel that she is a rather interesting person. First of all, she's not pretentious and she's especially fierce. She doesn't have the haughty airs of a girl. Not bad, not bad. Jingming, although you are too aloof as a person and we were always afraid that you wouldn't be able to find a woman, your luck is really not bad this time. Yin Suya's eyes shifted. You change so quickly. You've only met her a few times and your impression of her is already so good. Yin Suya said, as Madam President, she ultimately still needs some haughtiness and she also can't be too valiant. After all, she is a representative of our nation. Looking at Gu Jingming, Yin Suya continued, but Miss Yu is definitely different in front of us compared to when she's in front of the media. I'm also just stating what I see. After all, Jingming is the one looking for a wife and we are only bystanders. Right, Jingming. Gu Jingming remained silent as he leaned into his seat, drinking a cup of hot coffee in his hands. Shu Yi said, anyway, I do feel that Minmin is really a good person and she's very interesting. I like. Heh. Hey, while we are on that subject, why isn't she back yet? Yin Suya somehow didn't feel like listening anymore. She held onto the sofa beneath her and gritted her teeth. Alright, it's getting late and Madam President will come back soon. It's not nice of us to stay here. I'm leaving, Yin Suya spoke as she turned to walk out. Hey, Suya, why are you leaving at this time? The rain is still heavy. Yin Suya didn't seem to hear Shu Yi's voice. She simply ran out. Gu Jingming frowned and without waiting for Shu Yi to speak, he followed after her. Suya. Yin Suya looked down as she dashed out. The raindrops hit against the two of them. It was heavy and stormy as it washed their bodies and drenched them. Suya. He grabbed hold of Yin Suya's wrist. Stop it. Come inside with me. I'll drive you home. No, let go of me, Jingming. Suya. She turned to him. He could not tell if the water in her eyes were her tears or the rain. She only gazed at Gu Jingming. I think I should stay far away. Otherwise, every time I look at you, I look at your life now. I look at the traces of her. I can't help but think that it was all supposed to be mine. This should have been all mine. If I didn't choose to continue my life as a designer, wouldn't I be by your side now? Gu Jingming's arms tightened. His eyes stared intensely at her. Yin Suya cried and shivered. What if I regret it? Gu Jingming remained standing upright there and did not move. Yin Suya leaned into him. I regret it, but it's too late now, right? Isn't it, Jingming? Yes. If this was a year earlier, they would have been married and everything that happened since then wouldn't have happened. However, he waited for her for so many years. She insisted on pursuing her career and wasn't willing to marry him. In the end, he met Yu Minmin and because of that incident, they had no choice but to marry. Suya, enough, it's all in the past. Yin Suya sobbed harder. She still didn't want it to be in the past. What could she do? Yu Minmin got out of the car. The maid hastily said, Madam, this side. Yu Minmin stopped in her tracks. Not far in the distance, in the rain. Yin Suya leaned into Gu Jingming's arms. The image of them in the rain deeply turned her heart cold. Alarmed, the maid looked at Yu Minmin. Madam, don't misunderstand. It's just. It was just what? She already saw it all with her eyes. There was no point in saying anything. The maid also didn't know how to explain it. However, Yu Minmin said plainly, all right, come on. Let's go. She switched to another path, held the umbrella, and went in. Shu Yi immediately saw Yu Minmin and stood up. Ah, Minmin, you're back. Well, Jingming, hee. What are you doing here? Yu Minmin broke off his awkwardness. It's raining heavily and I heard Mr. President say that it's the raining season again. The waterlogging problem is still not solved for some reason and now it's starting to fluctuate again. Seeing that Yu Minmin looked like she didn't see anything, Shu Yi then pursed his lips and gazed deeply at her. Yes, it's a heavy rain. Come to brother. Brother will give you a gift. Go away. Who is brother? Well, I'm older than you. You are older than me, but Mr. President is older than you. I am Mr. President's wife, so you should follow the seniority on his side and call me sister-in-law, no. Come, say it for me to hear. Go away. That is such a cheap thrill. Come here, aren't you working on your studio? I'll give you a good resource. Really, the mention of good resource made Yu Minmin quickly go to him obediently. Shu Yi said, well, look at you. If you let your husband take action, wouldn't you be able to film whatever you want? Why do you want to work so hard? What do you know? This is called self-sustenance and being independent without relying on anyone else. Furthermore, why do I need to rely on some man? Men have never been the most reliable. Just look at my father and you would know. A woman should still rely on herself. Do you get it? Chapter 525. The man with the cold worried about her. Thankfully, Glazed Tile Palace was very big. For the night, Yu Minmin and Shu Yi went to talk about investing in her studio and did not bother with the two people outside. In the middle of the night, Yu Minmin went out to get water. After the maids left, the Glazed Tile Palace became very empty at night. When she stepped out, Yu Minmin froze. Outside, she saw Gu Jingming also pouring water for himself there. Little did she expect to bump into him at this time. She pretended as if she didn't see Gu Jingming and Yin Suya hug. However, she ultimately did see them. It was rather awkward now. Again, she wanted to pretend that she didn't see him and hurriedly left the kitchen. Just as she turned around, she heard a thud. The flask fell on the ground. Gu Jingming, what is up with you? Yu Minmin saw Gu Jingming also fall to the ground. Yu Minmin ran over and helped Gu Jingming up. He was having a fever and his body was very hot. Somehow, she managed to drag him all the way to the bedroom and hoisted him onto the bed. Only then did she feel that her back was already drenched in sweat. She then thought about calling the doctor. She picked up the phone and was just about to make the call. Gu Jingming got up dizzily and grabbed her hand. There's no need. He slowly opened his eyes. Don't panic, there's medicine in the drawer. Yu Minmin looked at him in his dizzy state. His eyes looked misty, like black pearls that had just been fogged. They looked so beautiful. She froze and then quickly pulled open the drawer. There were all kinds of medicine in there. But was it really a good idea to let Mr. President take these? What if something happened after he ate them? That would be a coup. That would be an assassination. Her mind went wild, but she still quickly took the medicine and found one for his fever. Then, she speedily took a thermometer and measured his temperature. It was 39 degrees Celsius. Take the fever medicine first. It probably must have been because of the rain. Sigh, you are too careless. You should have taken a good soak in the bath after being caught in the rain. It would have taken away the coldness. Gu Jingming closed his eyes again. She did not know if he already fell asleep. After he took the medicine, she tucked him in with the blanket. She pondered for a while and didn't dare to go out. He was probably afraid of shocking others and causing chaos over a cold. Thus, she decided not to call the doctor. It was true, it was glorious to be the president, but it was also very restricting. A small matter could blow up into a big one. One only needed to see all the nutritious food he ate daily. Although there were tens of thousands of people under him and he had an entire country in his hands, he couldn't even choose what he wanted to eat. Not to mention his own lover. Gu Jingming must have fallen asleep. She leaned against the side and looked at his perfect face. His face had hardship written all over it. Who knew how much he had been through? Thus, looking at him now, he looked very peaceful but also filled with maturity. His eyes were very large and his eyelashes were very long. Spread at the bottom, they looked so dark and beautiful. She said, "You love Miss Yin, but you can only marry me. You must be very sad inside." But who asked you to choose this path? Since you chose power, you have to give up on your woman. I may not be any good, but I'll be a proper wife to you, really. Of course I also guarantee that I will immediately get lost during the times you don't need me. I will absolutely not implicate you. Just then, Yu Minmin's phone rang. She quickly took out her phone. Not wanting to disturb Gu Jingming's rest, she hurried out of the room to answer the call. In her fluster, she didn't notice where she was going. She yelped as she tripped over something. Just when she thought that she was going to fall. A hand grabbed hold of her arm. Yu Minmin was pulled back by him and she landed backward on the soft bed. She opened her eyes and saw Gu Jingming's face right in front of her. He only wore pants and his upper body was naked. After he took the fever medicine, he started to sweat very quickly. The sweat brushed against her body but it did not feel icky. Instead, it gave her a sense of security. Even in this state, she didn't find him drab at all. Instead, there was a manly wildness about him. It looked like men could really rely on their appearance to save everything. He looked at Yu Minmin below. Yu Minmin froze and then suddenly thought of it. She almost fell just now but he pulled her over and saved her from falling. Then. Wasn't he sleeping? How could he get up in time to pull her? Didn't that mean that he wasn't actually sleeping? But if he wasn't sleeping? Yu Minmin's eyes widened. All the things she said just now. Yu Minmin's face instantly turned red. Gu Jingming, actually I was just saying. However, he didn't wait for her to finish. In his subconsciousness, he already couldn't control his body. He only wanted to tear away everything obstructing him from her body. Then, with his own ability, he wanted to bite her hard and tease her. He kissed her chest sloppily. She could only hug his head and try to stop him, but the clothes on her body were already torn away by him. Gu Jingming, what are you doing? She really could not be bothered with him. She didn't want to be touched by him. Because of what she saw that night, it made her believe that it was better not to be touched. He still had someone else in his heart but he was touching her. This couldn't be good. However, he didn't listen to her. Although he was having a cold, he didn't know where this brute force was coming from at this moment. He completely and utterly tore off her clothes. The next day. When Yu Minmin woke up, she saw that the maids were already tidying the room. Good morning, madam. Madam, you're up, sir prepared breakfast for you here. Yu Minmin said, okay. Where's Mr. President? He already went out to see the cabinet minister. All right. Mr. President instructed us to prepare tonic soup for you. He said that your body is weak and needs more nourishment. Yu Minmin blushed. Weak body, she fainted last night because of his teasing. However, she didn't think that anybody wouldn't faint from his teasing. Which woman would be able to take it? The maid chuckled and said, it looks like Mr. President is very concerned about you. Yu Minmin did not say a word. She picked up the bowl and gulped it down. The maid saw that she finished drinking it and quickly gave her another bowl. When Yu Minmin first came here, she had to learn everything and had to go for classes every day. Although everyone knew that she was Madam President and respected her, they ultimately didn't like her. But now, they thought that she was actually very good and Mr. President wasn't being too fair towards her. If it had been anyone else, they would have already gone mad because of what happened yesterday. The maids were all prepared to be at Yu Minmin's mercy at night. However, she didn't lose her temper at all. Instead, she was as calm as water and was equally polite and kind to everyone. This made the maids think even more highly of her. Chapter 526, Madam President's Prestige. Yu Minmin didn't know if Gu Jingming had already recovered from his cold. She was rather worried that he went to work in his condition. However, a call from home immediately snapped Yu Minmin back to reality. Her mother said that ever since they moved to their new home, her father invited many relatives to visit them. Yu Minmin thought silently that this father of hers was getting more and more troublesome. Because of her father's gambling habit, those relatives never kept in contact with them for a very long time. Why did they suddenly come now? Yu Minmin asked, invite guests. The house belongs to Mr. President, not us. Where is he inviting them to? Her mother said, that's what I told him too. Your dad finally has face to show off now and I didn't want to ruin his mood. If he didn't like gambling so much, he would have been a primary school teacher. He gambled everything away. Only now did he think about having face. He had such a good job but he didn't care about it. Yu Minmin hurried back home. At home, the guests who came were her eldest aunt, second aunt, and youngest uncle. Each one of them even brought their own children here. Yu Minmin's car stopped by the roadside. She could already see that it was beyond lively inside and some children were almost raising the roof. Yu Minmin immediately felt a headache. She wondered if she caught the cold from Mr. President. Before she could go in, the people inside were already coming out to greet her. Oh my, Madam President is here. Quick, come in, come on. Let us take a look at you. Hey, those people following you must be the presidential security. They look so impressive. They discovered the car behind and the presidential guards. What car is that? It looks so classy. Tisk tisk, Madam President's belongings are indeed different. Yu Minmin could only say, big aunt, little uncle. Hello. Hello, hello. We know your dad got lucky because of you and is now staying in a huge villa. We all quickly came to see. This villa is really different. The floor upstairs is so huge and there's even a basement below. Is it considered a 3-story house? The yard is huge too. This must cost millions. Yu Minmin couldn't be bothered to speak. Behind, Big Aunt's daughter asked, a few millions. You guys are too ignorant about these things. In B City, an average house in this district already costs a few million yuan. This house here should at least be tens of million yuan. Oh my, so expensive. Mr. President is so generous to give such a house to you guys. Yu Minmin wanted to say, since when did he give the house to them? They were only invited to stay. It must have been because when Father Yu was bragging, he didn't go into detail and intentionally made these people misunderstand. Seeing Yu Minmin's face darken, Father Yu quickly pulled her in. Quick, Minmin, come in. Why are you still standing there? Father Yu tugged Yu Minmin inside and said secretively, Minmin, it's not every day that we get to show off like this. All of this relies on you. If you say that this house is only for us to stay in temporarily, you will lose face. The fact was just that. What face was there to look at? However, without waiting for them to say anything, the people in the house already changed the topic. It was so noisy that nothing could be said. After eating, everyone sat together and it became a lot quieter. Big Aunt looked at that huge table. Villas are so huge, even the table is so big that it can fit so many of us. Father Yu said, we don't need to mention just a few of you. We can even hold an entire banquet here. Little Aunt said from behind, all right, second brother, stop bragging. If it wasn't for our Minmin, you wouldn't be able to stay in such a huge house. We also previously thought that our Minmin was capable. Oh right, Minmin, your sister just turned 22 years old and haven't found a boyfriend. Do you know any good men? Why don't you introduce them to your sister? We are all one family, right? We can all prosper together and you'll also have face, isn't that right? Yu Minmin sat there and remained calm. I don't know any suitable man. If there is, I'll keep you guys in mind. But there really isn't anyone I can introduce you to right now. Little Aunt heard this and her expression turned a little sour. But I keep hearing that the president has a few good buddies at his side, called. Beside her, Little Aunt's daughter spoke excitedly, one is called Fang Zongmu and the other is called Shu Yi. They have an especially good family background and are also especially handsome. She already went to find out about them. Thus, she looked at Yu Minmin resentfully. There clearly were such good men who were so close to Mr. President. Yu Minmin definitely knew them too. However, she claimed that there wasn't. Did she intentionally not want to introduce them? Yu Minmin scoffed coldly in her heart. They already knew about all these. It was a pity. Did they think that just anyone could fancy Shu Yi and Fang Zongmu? Those were no ordinary fold. How could they possibly take a liking to this young lady from Little Aunt's family? Shu Yi had no lack of beautiful models by his side. He was a famous playboy. Fang Zongmu was like Gu Jingming, he never had any gossip about him. It seemed like he wasn't lustful and she actually didn't know if he was just like Gu Jingming. Perhaps his heart already secretly belonged to someone. They thought that it would be so simple. Yu Minmin said, I'm not that familiar with them either. Furthermore, if they want to get to know a girl, they would do it themselves. If they don't want to get married, there's no use in me introducing girls to them too. Little Aunt heard this and her expression changed even more. She grunted and looked at Yu Minmin. Minmin, we watched you grow up. We are your closest relatives and your father is my brother. You are no different from my daughter. Why are you being like this? Isn't she your sister? You're capable now, so isn't it better that you could take your sister along with you? Why are you so selfish? Selfish. This was called selfish. Yu Minmin said, you should dismiss this idea in your head early. Even if they are looking, they wouldn't just listen to my arrangement and marry your daughter. What do you mean by that? Are you saying that our family doesn't match up to theirs? Yu Minmin smiled and looked at her. I didn't say that. However, that was exactly what she meant. Everyone sitting there could understand what they heard. Little Ant fumed even more and she said, oh my, this is fantastic. Now, you're putting on airs, eh? We're just trying to get a little help from you but you aren't even willing. You won't even do a small thing for us. I really don't know what's so good about you being Madam President. Yu Minmin's face hardened. She slowly stood up from her seat. My status as Madam President was personally selected by Mr. President. It is not my duty to do things for you, little ant. I can do this small thing, but I don't want to do it. What are you going to do about it? Is there anything little ant wants to say? The moment Yu Minmin stood up, the atmosphere around the table immediately stagnated. They forgot that she was now Madam President. Even in the past, she was not someone to be bullied. How is it any different now? In the past, they could still look down on her. But now, it was useless to look down on her because she was now the legitimate Madam President. Little Ant was frightened. At the start, she didn't feel that Yu Minmin acted like Madam President. Although it was a fact, they were still not used to it after all. Everything still seemed so surreal. Now, she really felt it. Chapter 527. The man behind her must be very capable. Yu Minmin stood there. That was Madam President. They were angry that she didn't want to help, but what could they do about it? They also didn't dare to say anything bad. Big Ant quickly pulled Little Ant down. Alright, we're having dinner as a family. Seriously, it's just a joke. You don't have to be so serious either. Little Ant looked at her. Her guts had retreated back inside her stomach long before that and she didn't dare to say anything else. She lowered her head and ate her food. After that, Mother Yu said to her, isn't it not too good to be this way? They are relatives after all. Yu Minmin said, if I agree to matchmake them this time, tomorrow they'll ask to become officials. What's next? Are they going to ask for my power and make them the president? Her mother was stumped. She thought that it made sense too. They would never be satisfied and if they weren't stopped now, it would only get worse in the future. Thankfully, Yu Minmin was Madam President now and she had a heavily weighted position. They wanted to show their anger but they also didn't dare to say a word. They could only swallow it back down their throats. When Yu Minmin went back, she already fell sick. It was indeed the cold. Lin Che could only attend the gold medal awards ceremony alone. It was only now she felt that she really needed a personal assistant. During the week of the gold medal award, conversations were only going to be about it. Because Lin Che just went through the contract saga, she was one of those who had more attention on her. Before she arrived, reporters were already waiting outside. They had asked the security outside when Lin Che was coming. The security replied, all right. Why are you all asking about Lin Che? I have no idea either. The popular ones are always at the end. Since she's so famous now, she should be at the back. Shouldn't you guys know this better than I do? The security was annoyed and pointed inside. Hey, Lin Che isn't here yet but her rival is. Rival. Qin Wanwan. Everyone instantly turned their heads. Sure enough, Qin Wanwan was here. This was Qin Wanwan's first public appearance ever since Lin Che turned the entire event around. Although she stayed in the company and seemed to have successfully pushed Lin Che out of Dynamic Pictures, there wasn't actually anything left. Because Lin Che's news after that made everyone more shocked. Everyone thought that Lin Che didn't lose this time. She was the ultimate winner. Everyone initially thought that Qin Wanwan hadn't shown herself in a long time. But now, she was actually here at the Gold Medal Awards. She didn't seem to have been nominated. At that time, Lin Che was suddenly nominated and everyone was still mocking Qin Wanwan for a long time. Now, she actually dared to come here so openly. Furthermore, when she got out of the car and walked on the red carpet, everyone was shocked. She was wearing. Qin Wanwan put one long leg down. Her long black skirt split open all the way up. Also, it didn't split from the side. It split from the middle. She gently spread her legs and the inner area of her thighs was almost visible. The pants inside were no different from a thong. It made one feel as if just a little movement and the private area would be exposed. However, it actually wouldn't be exposed and it was just like that, tugging at people's heartstrings and stunning them. This was too tantalizing. The reporters were all stunned. They furiously snapped pictures of Qin Wanwan. Qin Wanwan was going all out this time. She actually wore something so scandalous. All the cameras turned towards Qin Wanwan. Qin Wanwan also faced the cameras graciously and revealed the most special part about her dress. Up ahead, many celebrities also racked their brains to try to snatch tomorrow's headlines. Plenty of them revealed their chests and their backs, but to reveal themselves like this sigh. There really was no one else. Qin Wanwan instantly pushed all those with bare chests and backs to the sidelines. Those in front were probably already cursing and swearing silently. Meanwhile, Qin Wanwan only smiled and maintained her usual demeanor in front of the media. The media looked at Qin Wanwan and asked, "Qin Wanwan, Lin Che isn't here yet." "Is she? I have no idea." "Qin Wanwan, are you the big sister now in dynamic pictures?" "Well, there is no such differentiation. There are still many seniors in dynamic pictures and I'm only a junior. How can I call myself a big sister?" Qin Wanwan looked at the media and smiled. She was dressed beautifully. Qin Wanwan knew that everyone was waiting for some excitement from her. Lin Che's arrival this time would inevitably be a scene. Everyone all thought that Qin Wanwan wouldn't dare to come at all. But she did come. And not only did she come, but she also did so gloriously. Even if she wasn't nominated, she also wanted to snag the headlines tomorrow. Lin Che thought that she won and already crushed Qin Wanwan under her feet. But she, Qin Wanwan, was not to be defeated so easily. Meanwhile, Lin Che. She was outside and first bumped into Song Shuai, who was in the same company as her previously. They were both in the same crew, so they met up together. Song Shuai was nominated for Best Supporting Female. It was unlikely that she was going to get the award because apart from other aspects, her popularity was obviously not as high. But she already couldn't care less for these awards. She looked at Lin Che and said, "You have no idea. After you left the company, Qin Wanwan was bossing people around." Lin Che asked, "Really? But it doesn't matter to me anyway. I have been extremely benevolent to the company. We were all on good terms originally, but who knew that the matter would blow up so much?" Song Shuai replied, "Indeed. The company was not very nice about this matter. They probably wanted to put you beneath Qin Wanwan initially so that Qin Wanwan could be the big sister. There's no way you don't know about it, right? Qin Wanwan's backing is the director of Orange Light." "Huh, the director of the whole group?" "Yes, why else do you think that President Chen, President Zong, and the rest gave her so much face?" "I see." Lin Che thought about it now and thought that it was amusing. Song Shuai continued, "They didn't think that you could get rid of Shin Xiaoyuan if you didn't have the guts. They all thought that Orange Light's president was more capable than the people you know. That is why they supported Qin Wanwan so much. Sigh. Now, we're old and they thought that if you could deal with Shin Xiaoyuan, you would also come after us. They thought that it was inevitable." However, Song Shuai didn't think that way at all. Song Shuai always looked at things very clearly. She believed that the people behind Lin Che were definitely some very impressive people. This person was a lot more capable than they imagined. Otherwise, they wouldn't have coordinated so well. They wouldn't have made Lin Che appear weak, then silently and suddenly turn things around. This was beyond the control of an ordinary mind. "Come on, it's going to be your turn. Best female lead, you'll definitely be walking the red carpet alone today. Go on." Lin Che heard this and smiled sheepishly. "Well, Sister Shuai, see you in a while." Chapter 528. She did not care to compare with others. Before she could go over, she heard someone at the side say, "Qin Wanwan actually came." Not only did she come, she even dressed especially invitingly. Didn't you see it? It was especially sexy. Her long legs and slender waist were so inviting. No way, it was that good, I'm going to take a look. Lin Che indeed saw Qin Wanwan in the distance. When she noticed that dress, she was also stunned. It was outrageous. Okay, she would never do this no matter what. Lin Che was still pondering. She looked down at her own dress, which was rather revealing. After much thought, she said to her assistant, "Go take that silver dress from the back." The assistant was surprised. Ah, the one meant to be the spare. But that dress was not as revealing as this piece. Initially, when they saw Qin Wanwan wear such a dress, everyone was already anxious and worried that Lin Che's dress would not be enough. It was definitely not as outstanding as Qin Wanwan's. But now, she didn't even want this piece. Instead, she wanted the other one, which was so conservative. "Just go and get it," Lin Che said. "I won't win that anyway. I might as well keep a low profile." The assistant could only go and retrieve it. After some time, she changed her outfit. At the front, she saw her assistant coming to her and telling her that it was her turn. Lin Che was walking alone on such an important red carpet, and it was just after the whole storm of events. She was feeling rather worried. However, she faced the lights, and when she first stepped onto the red carpet, her thoughts suddenly cleared. "Quick, look, Lin Che is here." "Yes, hey, Lin Che's dress looks very conservative." Qin Wanwan wore something so revealing while she still wore so conservatively. But she also probably didn't expect that Qin Wanwan would come. Everyone looked at Lin Che and noticed her dress. It looked very normal, but when she walked, it shined and glimmered. The silver and gray colors interchanged, and when she walked, it reflected light in all directions. She looked as pretty as the starlight. A small part of her body was revealed just above the waist. The dress did not cling to her body, and as she walked, bits of her waist was revealed gloriously every now and then. Her slender waist did not have a bit of fat. One could even see a little of her abdominal muscles. They looked firm, and it looked like she had been working out. Reporters behind said, "Who would have guessed that Lin Che would still keep a rather low profile? She doesn't seem to want to compare with Qin Wanwan." Looking at Qin Wanwan, she even took out her battle dress and is intentionally trying to grab the spotlight. Yes, and look, Lin Che looks rather different now. Are you talking about plastic surgery? No, her face is still the same, but her body looks more toned. Looking at her now, she does seem to have been working out. She looks even more poised too. It's really true, there's an international air about her that is just like those foreign artists. She looks so much healthier. Everyone looked on, and they felt even more that Lin Che's appearance this time was really different. Previously, when her studio first opened for business, she only appeared that once time at the entrance. She looked alright, but because she was in a rush, she only answered a few interview questions and left. She wore very simple clothes too. Today's dress fitted her figure very well. If an average person wore a dress like this, the color would make one look fat. However, not only did she not look fat, it made her figure even more slender. It looked like her figure was indeed great beyond words. Lin Che was not as eye-catching as Qin Wanwan on the red carpet. However, she was nominated for Best Female Lead, and it was her first time being nominated. When a young starlet like her stood in the middle, she was instantly surrounded by applause. The reporters and media at the side also treated her with more grandeur than anyone else. On the big screen, they kept replaying Lin Che's introduction and achievements. They played Lin Che's past works and some data, making her seem even greater. After the red carpet walk, she saw a few celebrities whom she knew come over to greet her. "Have you been working out, Lin Che? Your small waist is even smaller now." "Yes, I've been training a bit." "You really want to force us out of the competition." Now, the audience also changed. They used to love a willow-like figure that is soft and bendy. Now, the trend has suddenly changed to firm abs. It's so hard to achieve that. Looking at Lin Che's better figure, everyone was very envious. They thought that Lin Che was keeping up with the trend and quickly trained her abs. Everyone sincerely admired her, but they did not know that Lin Che had never thought about all these. It was just a coincidence that she was learning ballet, fencing, and horseback riding at that time. After that, she thought that it was good to learn these few skills properly, so she didn't stop her lessons and continued practicing every once in a while. Who would have thought that the effects would really be this good? Just then, from across her, Qin Wanwan approached. Everybody knew about their recent story. They instantly anticipated more drama now as they watched the two of them. Qin Wanwan walked over and also thought, this Lin Che is really scheming. She still pretends as if she doesn't know anything while she quietly changes her image and starts training her abs as a sports girl. On the other hand, she is even in contact with Situ Chong. Qin Wanwan didn't know about this in the company and indeed fell for her trap. During that month Lin Che disappeared, perhaps she went to plan these things. She retreated in order to advance. Qin Wanwan looked at Lin Che, smiled, and said, Lin Che, long time no see. Where is that little assistant who was so protective of you? Knowing that she was talking about young Lingxin, Lin Che didn't say anything. I need to give others a chance to gain experience. Qin Wanwan said, oh right. I hope the problem with our company won't affect the two of us. People would think that we're really not getting along when it's actually just the problem with the company's stand. I hope this will not affect our friendship. Yes, Lin Che smiled and didn't want to say anything else. However, Qin Wanwan continually fidgeted and switched poses, showing off the openness of her dress. In her words, she said that they weren't in discord, but it was actually provocative. She wanted to show the uniqueness of her dress to say that tomorrow's headlines would definitely be hers. Oh right, Lin Che, you're nominated today. I'm actually just here to sing as a guest performer. I didn't expect these reporters to point their cameras at me that much. I already told them not to give me such a revealing dress. A pure and simple dress like yours would be good, or at least maybe leave a little something at the end. Lin Che smiled coldly. She really didn't want to see this hypocritical and boastful face any longer. However, at this moment, someone suddenly came over. Miss Lin Che, please sit, please sit. Our young master sent you this chair. He said that you must definitely feel uncomfortable standing in high heels. Lin Che froze and turned her head to look. It was a complete stranger. Chapter 529. So many people liked her. Seeing Lin Che turn her head, that young man smiled and waved at her. Lin Che immediately recalled, wasn't he the one at the opera in France? Who would have thought that she would meet him again here? An artiste beside immediately asked, hey, isn't that young Master Shu? It looks like him, oh my, he even specially brought a chair for Lin Che. So thoughtful, hee, don't tell me he likes Lin Che. Lin Che smiled awkwardly and thanked the person who delivered the chair. But before she could settle down, another person brought her a gift. Miss Lin, this is water from our President Chen. He saw that you must be tired. Drink some warm water. There's a straw here and a fruit platter. You can sit down and eat some. Who was this President Chen? She turned around to see a completely different looking man in his 30s. He had a full beard and was beaming and waving at her. Lin Che could only continue to smile and nod awkwardly. Hey, Miss Lin, our Mr. Zhang would like to give you this incense. There are a lot of people here and the smell must be strong. When you put this beside you while you rest, you'll feel a lot better. These playboys. Lin Che seemed to understand why Lu Chusha cared so much about that party. It looked like after becoming the #1 socialite, she really had plenty of fans. Furthermore, these playboys would only get crazier when they chased after stars. There was probably some rivalry going on. When one saw others sending gifts, one would also immediately send gifts. Lu Chusha enjoyed so many men clamoring over her. That must have been why she lived so proudly. However, Lin Che did not want to be an object that people would fight over and show off. She felt rather awkward here and didn't know how to respond. But the other female stars who did not know what was going on were so envious of her. Look, that is the young master of Yong'an Enterprise. That is the successor of Daming International. Hey, why are they all so gracious towards Lin Che? Yeah, what kind of charm does Lin Che have on her that could make all these men rush to her? Who knows? Anyway, I'm so jealous. Everyone watched Lin Che over there as she was being treated like a princess. Nobody noticed Qin Wanwan's jealous eyes as she looked resentfully at Lin Che. In the next moment, Qin Wanwan mockingly asked, who would have thought? Lin Che, it turns out that you know so many upper-class people. It looks like today's award will have to be yours. Lin Che looked at Qin Wanwan. How can that be? I actually didn't know them either. It's probably because of the recent contract dispute that I got frequently exposed and my name got out. Talking about it, I must thank you for your help. No matter what, you did have a part to play in this. Qin Wanwan heard this and her expression changed. Within a second, she smiled. Really, once you win tonight's best female lead, you'll become the queen of movies and nobody will compare us anymore. Actually, I really don't match up to you. I will never be able to know so many upper-class people. Lin Che, you are capable. I can never learn this. Everyone also believed that Lin Che was definitely going to win the award tonight. No wonder she could be nominated. It turned out that all these people were supporting her from behind. This award should have been fair, but it looked like that wasn't the case either. Lin Che didn't care about anything else. Just as she sat down, she saw Gu Jingze finally arrive. When he entered, he immediately smiled and headed directly towards Lin Che. Hey, what are you doing here? Where else am I supposed to be? You're a nominee. You should be inside, not standing out here. I didn't know that. It turned out that Lin Che was in the wrong place. Gu Jingze said, look at you, Saddam. All the nominees are at the front so that they can go up the stage easily. Why are you standing at the back? This area is for those who were not nominated and are waiting to perform on stage. Oh okay, it's my first time, I didn't know. Let's go, come with me, Gu Jingze said as he pulled Lin Che out. At the side, Qin Wanwan naturally heard Gu Jingze's words. Somehow, Qin Wanwan felt as if Gu Jingze intentionally said it aloud for her to hear. Sure enough, Lin Che sat in the area with all the other nominees who were great actors. They were shining and she was surrounded by big shots who were all recently very popular. Qin Wanwan could only stand there and watch. It was not easy for her to get through to someone so that she could come as a guest. However, being a guest now seemed so depressing. Lin Che was inside. She turned back to look at Qin Wanwan and then snickered at Gu Jingze. You seriously, your words were so obvious. Are you asking for trouble? Gu Jingze asked, why are you so courteous to people like her? Alright, I won't. Gu Jingze said, but you too, how did you get tangled up with Satu Chong, that kind of guy? You even became his disciple. It was all because of that fencing competition. Alright, don't talk about it. It makes me depressed. We're just friends and he only did it to help me. Gu Jingze smiled and looked ahead. For someone who had countless awards, these awards were nothing to him. When the awards ceremony began this time, Weibo and the big media companies started their live broadcasts. The awards were not given out yet, but the red carpet photos were already published. Sure enough, everyone was amazed by Qin Wanwan. They never noticed that her legs were so long until now. However, they felt that Lin Che was actually not bad either. She was gracious, decent, and very popular. And she really did look more and more international. Finally, the awards segment was broadcasted. One award after another, Bandit Fairies, gained a lot of recognition and won many awards. Soon, it was time for the Best Female Lead Award. 4 actresses were nominated. 2 were from reality shows, 1 was from a literary film, and only 1 was from a commercial film. Lin Che closed her eyes and listened to the announcer above. The award goes to Lu Yao. She was a big shot in the movie industry and acted in a big production for a reality show. Lin Che took a deep breath. However, she realized that she actually didn't feel moody because she did not win the award. Instead, she even thought calmly that it was actually expected that she didn't win. Gu Jingze said from the side, all right. Commercial films don't usually win awards anyway. The awards we win this time are also just some music awards and picture awards. Those other good segments like director awards and screenwriter awards were all taken by other shows. Lin Che turned to look at Gu Jingze. Okay, I wasn't thinking that. I think I've matured a lot already. I've had a lot of gossips recently and they must have considered all these too. By not giving me the award this time, the entertainment circle will stop circling around me as a topic. Furthermore, every judge has their own criteria and subjective judgment. Just like Little Lee, for example. He has the ability to be awarded, but he never got it. For one, he is unlucky. Another reason is that everyone has even higher expectations for him. Isn't that right? Chapter 530. It's time for a random vacation. Alright then. It seems like I worried too much. It's true that you've matured a lot. Lin Che smiled. Of course. Everyone was looking at Lin Che. Although she had not won the award, there was still a lot of attention on her. This was especially so after the ceremony had ended. All the reporters came to ask her how she felt about missing out on the award. Lin Che said confidently, I've already tried my best to achieve the award, so whether or not I actually attain it is not important. Since the committee didn't give me the award, it's a sign that I'm still lacking. I'll continue to work hard in the future. After all, this was my first film. The fact that we could get such a good script and do so well at the box office, shows that my colleagues and I have already tried our best. Everyone again asked, then, were you surprised that Qin Wanwan came to attend the award ceremony today? In the first place, celebrities have always been invited to award ceremonies. I won't be taken aback no matter who I see here. She carried herself very well and did not seem uncomfortable at all. Her fans posted comments on the internet consoling her. She might not have won the award, but they saw how she had matured. Baby Che had already performed very well. In variety programs, she was able to let herself go and enjoy herself. In formal events like these, she could also be such a goddess. She did not look awkward at all and was truly good at dealing with people. Lin Che got into the car and surfed the internet. She saw that the comments on the internet were all very positive. The fact that she had not tried to snatch the spotlight from Qin Wanwan also led people to point out that Lin Che was the one who had been nominated and thus attended the ceremony. On the other hand, what had Qin Wanwan done? She had merely gone there to sing and even took the chance to walk the red carpet. She was truly shameless. Lin Che smiled when she read this. She thought to herself that although Qin Wanwan had managed to get some attention this time, she had also received a lot of criticism. It was great. The fact that the netizens were starting to criticize her meant that she had also gained some anti-fans. Lin Che went to Gu Jingze's company first before going home with Gu Jingze, who had still been at work. After getting into the car, Gu Jingze looked at Lin Che, who was in the rear seat, with an expression of complete fatigue. Then, he asked, why? Are you disappointed that you didn't get the award? Lin Che said, it's not that I'm disappointed. I just feel a little tired. I know that many people toil for many years before winning an award. This is only my first year. Gu Jingze looked at Lin Che. Are we heading home right now or do you want to go somewhere first? Lin Che pondered for a bit before saying, in that case I don't want to go home. Let's drive somewhere else. Gu Jingze said, alright. He instructed the driver to alight first. Then, he personally drove the car and took Lin Che on a night drive. Gu Jingze asked her if she had a destination in mind. Lin Che shook her head because she really did not have one. She looked outside and saw that they were nearly reaching the outskirts. She asked, why don't we go to another city nearby and drive around? At this time? Yes, let's go on a random vacation. Isn't that good? A random vacation? Fine. Gu Jingze shook his head. Let's go. We'll go wherever we want to go. A life where one did as he pleased seemed very interesting too. After driving for 3 hours, they only reached a city nearby in the wee hours of the morning. Compared to B City, this place was doing pretty well economically. But ultimately, it was a small city and had a lot fewer people. It had a vast territory, a sparse population, and seemed very novel. It was already past midnight. Lin Che yawned and looked around in wonder. Then, she said, this place is really not bad. Let's look for a hotel and rest up first. We'll go out again tomorrow. Gu Jingze nodded. Because it was a small city, Lin Che did not need to cover herself up too much to prevent herself from being recognized. Although everyone would cast a sideways glance at her because they found her attractive, it was inconceivable to them that a celebrity as famous as her would come to this small city for no reason. This city was the type of place where no celebrity would step foot in for many years. When a shopping mall happened to hold some event, even the attendance of some third-rate celebrity was enough to inspire awe among the people. Thus, Lin Che already felt at ease with just a mask covering her mouth. When they arrived at the hotel, Lin Che was about to check in using her identity card when Gu Jingze stopped her and said, "I'll check in." Lin Che froze. Then, she remembered that everyone would probably recognize her if they saw the name Lin Che on her identity card. However, people from small cities did not usually read economic news. Although they might know of Gu Jingze if his name was mentioned, it was unlikely that they would think of him upon seeing the name on his identity card. Very soon after, Gu Jingze went in to open a room. The hotel was not big. The receptionist was initially furious when she saw that someone was here to check in this late at night. Her eyes immediately brightened when she lifted her head to see that the customer was so handsome. "A double room or a single room?" "A double room." "Then, I'll need both of your identity cards." "Can we dispense with that?" Gu Jingze looked at her. The girl instantly gave in under his intent gaze. Even her face was red when she smiled and said, all right. I'll get you a room." He nodded. "Thank you. Would you like a deluxe room or a standard one?" "A suite." "Oh, a suite would cost 880 RMB. "No problem." The receptionist was even more surprised. Usually, people on business trips or officials stayed in the suites because it was too expensive. After all, this was a small city. A standard room cost just 200 RMB, but a suite cost 800 RMB. It was totally not worth it. She could not figure out why they needed a suite. Thus, she looked at him before checking him in. Thereafter, he walked in with his arm around Lin Che. Lin Che's head was bowed and she gave off a mysterious and suggestive aura. As the young girl at the front desk watched them, her imagination momentarily ran wild. Such a handsome man with a woman on his arm checking into a hotel. Were they having an affair? Lin Che covered her mouth and started laughing when she stepped into the lift. Earlier, she had witnessed the entire process. She had immediately noticed that Gu Jingze had been staring at the girl. She said, "Seriously, if you look good, you'll have a great advantage wherever you go." Of course, the receptionist couldn't withstand your constant gaze. She definitely would have agreed to whatever you said. "What are you talking about?" "I'm talking about what happened just now. She saw that you only had one identity card and didn't want to check you in. But you stared at her so intently that her face turned red. She would have agreed to whatever you said." "When did I look at her intently? Didn't you just do that?" "I was thinking about what I would do if she didn't agree." "Fine then." So the girl had misunderstood. In any case, the two of them arrived at the suite upstairs. The 3-starred hotel here was naturally not as luxurious as the Gu family's 7-starred hotel. The decor was also a little old-fashioned. It was not that clean either. There was an odor in the room. After entering the room, Lin Che looked at Gu Jingze worriedly. She thought that he would definitely feel uncomfortable staying in this room. "What do we do now? This place has a bit of a smell." Gu Jingze looked around and said, "Let's open the windows for some air. If you feel uncomfortable here, we can look for another hotel. We may be able to find a better one." "Forget it. It's so late. It's about time for you to sleep too. Besides, staying in a place like this once in a while is all right." He pulled back the covers.